Education is preparation for reparations.
I'd now like to invite onto the stage Laura Hammond, Deputy Vice-Chancellor of SOAS, to give us a welcome. Please give some.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, welcome to SOAS. As was mentioned, I'm Laura Hammond. I'm Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research and Knowledge Exchange here at SOAS. And on behalf of the institution and also of our Vice-Chancellor, Adam Habib, who unfortunately is traveling this week, I'd like to welcome you to SOAS. SOAS has a long and proud history of engagement with Pan-Africanism. Since our establishment in 1916, we've been a center for research and education on Africa. It was here that Pan-African activist, actor, and athlete Paul Robeson came in 1934 to study phonetics and Swahili. One of our residence halls is named after him. And this year we'll be marking the 50th anniversary since his death. During the independence period of the 1960s and 70s, SOAS was a hotbed of independence politics, with many of those who would later go on to become leaders in the newly independent states that we're studying here. As was already mentioned, Dr. Walter Rodney did his PhD here at SOAS. His dissertation was on the slave trade in Upper Guinea Coast. It was published in 1970, and it was widely acclaimed for challenging the conventional wisdom on the topic. Dr. Rodney became internationally known, of course, as a scholar, activist, and speaker, and taught at the University of Dar es Salaam and the University of the West Indies. He also became, of course, a prominent Pan-Africanist and was an important figure in the Black Power movement in the Caribbean and North America. More recently, we've been really proud to see our alumni take leading roles within Africa, including Luisa Diogo, former Prime Minister of Mozambique, John Atta Mills, former President of Ghana, former Nigerian ministers Femi Fani-Kayode and Amal Pepple. Our former president, Graça Machel, who of course needs no introduction, but is a strong African and a major voice for Pan-Africanism, as is our current president, Zainab Badawi, who also sends her apologies. She's traveling as well at the moment. Our own Vice-Chancellor, Adam Habib, is one of the founders of the African Universities Research Alliance, which is one of the major kind of continental federations of universities that's been founded in the last several years. And he has a long history of working to strengthen Pan-Africanism in the continent. I was really delighted this morning to see Akiaba Adesebo, who we were really honored to give an honorary degree to in 2022. Welcome back to SOAS. Very nice to see you. If you don't know Akiaba, he is the founder of Black History Month, among many other things, and I'm sure you'll hear from him later on. Our engagement with Africa is based on a desire to develop and strengthen equitable partnerships in research, knowledge exchange, and teaching. We recognize Africa has huge potential in terms of its human resources, its natural resources, its cultural resources, as has been so eloquently just explained and showcased in the first speaker's remarks. Of course, it's home to the youngest population in the world, and there's a huge need to support the talent that's coming up, to support the education and training of that next generation of political leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and thought leaders. We're really actively developing partnerships with universities across the continent to create opportunities for students from Africa to benefit from jointly designed, jointly taught, and jointly accredited programs of study. The first of these is with the University of Witwatersrand, which is a PhD in development economics. It's now in its second year. And we're working on developing new programs in South Africa, Uganda, Ethiopia, and many other countries. These programs provide an important opportunity to provide excellent education to students who may not otherwise be able to travel all the way to the UK and may not be able to afford the price tag, which is shamefully high, of coming to the UK to study. In research, we're working really closely with universities and think tanks across the continent. I just recently returned from Rwanda, where I attended the Times Higher African Universities Summit. It was really inspirational to hear about the work that's going on in higher education across the continent to advance training and research in the fields of AI and digital technology, climate finance, leadership training, and other fields. These are areas that track well with our own focus on the social sciences and the humanities. SOAS, if you don't know much about SOAS, is the only place in the UK that specializes in the study of Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. And we are really engaged in a lot of major research initiatives on the green economy, migration and displacement, in and from the continent, intergenerational justice, and many other areas. Our engagement with Africa also extends to working closely with African diasporas here in the UK, but also in North America. And this is a subject that's very close to my heart because I spent 8 years living in the Horn of Africa and now do a lot of research as well with diasporas from the Horn of Africa here, living here in the UK as well as in other parts of the world. Last year we were also a partner in an amazing research and art program that was led by Gloria Daniel, it was called Black Plaques, and it looked at the shameful history of the transatlantic slave trade and the many individuals, families, and institutions that were complicit in that history and brought to light much of that shameful history. And that was a kind of collaboration between academics at SOAS as well as artists. Several of the bright lights in today's academic work in diasporas have also come from SOAS, including two young and really outstanding, who are my former PhD students, Robtel Niajai-Paley, who is now at the London School of Economics, who did a fantastic study on Liberian diaspora's return and their claims to citizenship within Liberia, as well as Kirsty Kwarteng, who's just finished her PhD looking at second-generation Ghanaians and their interaction with their country of heritage. And this is one of the most exciting things about working in the space, is watching this new generation of talent emerge and being able to help them find their voices and their platforms. And that's all we need to do, because their own voices are incredibly powerful. The geopolitical upheaval that we're seeing in the world today presents both challenges but also opportunities for Africa. There's a possibility of realignment away from the dependency on economic ties with the United States, and a chance to rethink things like localization to benefit more from the talents of African actors. Cooperation between countries and across the continent and with diasporas will be really extremely important in this venture. Whether in education, research, business, trade, or foreign policy, building bridges between people will be a huge asset to the continent. As you deliberate today on the promise of Pan-Africanism, I offer you SOAS's full support and cooperation on the journey. We are committed to working together with you to advance the goals of Pan-Africanism for the betterment of all people of African heritage. So enjoy the day, and look forward to hearing some more from our speakers. Thank you.
Education is preparation for reparations.